This isn't really the conventional way that we presented these poems in class, but who cares? Just for some context, this is a video I had to make for my English class because we had to make presentations, but I didn't want to make a presentation, so I just made this video and uploaded it for the class to watch. There are bits with poetic analysis, there are some spelling errors that I couldn't be bothered to fix, but enjoy the video. Mending Wall is a poem by Robert Frost written in 1914 during the First World War. This is significant as the poem itself follows the theme of separation between two places. The point of World War I was for countries to fight for their freedom and their right to maintain borders. This is represented through the narrator and his neighbour, who have two conflicting views on the wall that separates them. His neighbour believes in his father's value that good walls make good neighbours, while Frost is infatuated with the concept of this wall constantly seeking repair and what force in nature could possibly be doing this to it. It is also written in the height of literary modernism, which is shown through simplistic language. Now, this poem may seem long and daunting, and trust me, it is. But I'm going to split it into a few sections so it's slightly easier to digest. The poem opens with this mild assertion and spends the next 3 lines describing the attempt by nature to topple down this wall. The language is very simple and conversational, and except for the compound word frozen ground swell, the lines contain no words longer than 2 syllables. The poem opens with a trochee, I think that's how you said.
Trochee.
These first 4 lines also contain assonance on I, but this sound is distributed through the lines. The use of enjambment and end stop shows the flow of the narrator's thoughts. In lines 5 to 9, the narrator tries to qualify the mystery of what may be taking down this wall and states that he knows that hunters could be taking it apart and will repair this damage as he sees it. But the force that nature puts against it requires a different kind of repair. He stops in the middle of line 9 with an end stop. This is Frost telling us to pay particular attention at this point as he wants to make clear what happens after it, and it is used to reflect on an unknowability of the hostile force that tears down the wall and is represented by silence. And we could go as far to say as it represents the gaps the speaker discovers. Lines 11 to 16 show a shift in narrative, from thinking about what may have taken down this wall to going with his neighbour to repair it. Spring mending time is when they must fix this wall, and spring is used specifically as it is the season of birth and rebirth, represented in the mending of the wall. The repetition of the phrase "to each" in line 16 emphasises the distance between the neighbour and the speaker. This task is done at this time every year, which makes this act seem ritualistic. It is important to note that in line 12, the speaker is the one that calls out to the neighbour about fixing the wall, contradicting how the speaker really doesn't want the wall fixed. In line 17, the speaker uses a metaphor for the stones being loaves and balls, showing a sophisticated style of writing that hadn't been shown until this point. In line 20, the line "fingers rough" an outdoor game portrays how repairing the wall is somehow more important than the existence of it. There's also an allusion to Greek mythology through lines 10 to 22. It alludes to Sisyphus, as the wall rebuilding process strongly resembles the never-ending push that Sisyphus must do. Lines 23 to 27 strengthen the doubt that the speaker has about the purpose of rebuilding this wall. He talks about the apple tree and the pine tree, which, if one collides with the other, the soil will become too acidic to continue to supply for the pine tree. This proves the speaker's point that the wall serves no purpose, and this is a pointlessly painful task. The strong alliteration and consonants in the line "he is all pine" and "I am all apple orchard" implies a sense of unity. The neighbour's response to the narrator is, "Good fences make good neighbours." This suggests that the opposite is also true, being "bad fences make bad neighbours," showing his dim outlook on life and how the wall is simply there to regulate the neighbour's relationship once a year. In line 27, the neighbour makes his case for the utility of the wall. It might not serve a practical purpose, but it does restrain people's worst impulses. It makes them into good neighbours. In lines 28 to 31, the speaker begins by interrogating the neighbour's position directly, asking, why do they make good neighbours? The speaker then answers this question, isn't it where there are cows? But here there are no cows. The neighbour never mentioned any cows, so this might seem at first as a non sequitur, but the speaker is making an allusion to the passage from the American philosopher Henry David Thoreau. Thoreau once wrote, who are bad neighbours? They are abettors of the ill-doers. Thoreau states explicitly what remained implicit in the neighbour's brief comment, walls and fences are necessary because they restrain people's worst impulses. In lines 32 to 38, the speaker's tone shifts once again from referring to the force that tears down the wall being something ominous and evil to something quite joyous, referring it to elves. If the wall is oppressive and divisive, then it is a good thing that there's a force that will destroy it, that wants it down. After trying to convince the neighbour and disputing his ideas, the speaker decides to take a new argumentative approach. Attack the neighbour's character. He drops the act of being a humble figure who uses everyday language into a poetic mode, using a simile and alliteration in a much more noticeable way than before. The simile is insulting to the neighbour and states he looks like an old stone savage armed. In the final 3 lines of the poem, the speaker takes himself back to his original thoughts and quite frankly the real world. He doesn't rely on complex allusions or similes to make his point. He does so in simple language that anyone might understand. He doesn't patronise or insult. His position may be bleak and pessimistic, but it is articulated with considerable force and precision. Now that the unnecessarily lengthy poem is out of the way, I'll quickly give some form, meter and rhyme analysis. So, for the form, it's simply a single stanza consisting of 45 lines and is written in blank verse. It is mostly the iambic pentameter but is broken up sometimes throughout. The poem starts with a crochet and slides gradually into iambs. It doesn't have a rhyme scheme and any rhymes that are included are often in rhyming couplets. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully it was a bit of a change of pace for the channel. Maybe I'll make more stuff like this or other things that I really want to make. Goodbye.